Bring it on. Want some, get some.
Can I get a hell yeah?
Yes, I am a pirate.
You have to go with the pirates because, of course, they have cannons and everything.
It's a pirate's life for me.
Be proud of who you are and what you are. You're pirates.
It is a first down. Pirates.
Because when you're at East Carolina, you go for it every time. Or you don't coach at East Carolina, you don't come to East Carolina, you don't play at East Carolina with a weak heart. Write it.
I think I've ever been in a building as loud as that was. It was deafening in there.
We will get to Omaha. I can promise you that.
And it's purple all night long in Eastern North Carolina.
You're watching The Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates.
Yeah. My heart is purple and gold. I'm a pirate down to my soul. And I don't back down, not at all. Find out when the cannons explode.
All right, welcome in to Extra Innings here. I think it's episode 12, season 7. We've been doing this since 2018. And man, what a great lineup tonight. I'll start it off with the 1989. I was getting ready to say world champion, but he's a champion in my book, of course, winning the national championship in Division III baseball, right?
That is right.
Coach Paul Hill's with us. We've got Landis Wilson, the king of pecans, as I had delightfully toasted today, and a man that's going to run. He runs circles around me, and he doesn't even know it. Chase Martin, welcome to the show. In fact, we're going to have he's our special guest tonight. Is what I've learned about Coach Paul Hill is, for the kids that don't know what a Rolodex is, he's got a Rolodex bigger than Texas, maybe. I don't know. He's like, man, oh my God, I know this guy and this lady, and I told him that he's the mayor. You're the mayor of Pirate Nation, I think, because you know more people. Every time I'm around you, we start talking and, oh, you know him? Yeah, I know him. We've been friends for 40 years. So great to have you, Coach. Great to have Landis and Chase. Welcome aboard. Welcome into the show. Pirates have a tough weekend. We'll talk about that and talk with Chase as well. We can multitask, believe it or not. And I'll tell you what, Pirates lose 2 out of 3. You have the great win with Elon and then lose 2 out of 3. I thought they were going to win today, fellas, and win the rubber match. We're just having trouble with that. And I already anticipated today, either way, people would say, man, when I listen to Extra Innings, they talk about the same things. But, after a while, we are who we are. I was thinking about that this morning. We are who we are. We're trying really hard. We have talent, but the massive exodus last year was greater than I anticipated, greater than I thought. And when you hear about Zach Root, who was with us last year, the left-hander, he's killing it at Arkansas as a pitcher. And I have a pitcher and a catcher here on the show. Then it's very frustrating when you have that situation where you know that we should be able to retain these players and keep these players. And I'm not going to ramble on, and just very frustrated, guys, as I know a lot of people in Pirate Nation. We love these guys. They put on purple and gold. But I never thought in baseball, I'll say this, and I'll pass it to Coach and Landis and Chase. We'll get to you in just a second, Chase. I never expected in a million years to be able to say we're a few pieces away, meaning that from having the great seasons that we're used to, it's usually talking about how do we get to Omaha. And I might be we're like a super regional team in my mind on paper. But I just want to get your thoughts about that starting off. And then we want to talk to the man that can run miles and miles and miles. I'm very impressed with the Chase in just a minute.
Well, it sounds like we're just, like you said, same segment, just a different day on the weekends. we've lost. If you go back, we have lost. I was getting ready to count them before we went on. 1-run ball games, 2-run ball games, and it's a major hit here or there, a play here or there, and in baseball, that's just how literally the ball bounces and the way things go sometimes. You mentioned some key players exiting last year, new players coming in. As a former coach and player, I do think, and I know that these guys go out there and give it all 110%. Do get frustrated at times during the season. There may be a little bit of frustration going on within the team. I mean, I don't know, but I don't see it on the field, but it may be in them, and that relates the plays at the bat and pitching and being a little bit more crisp and a little bit more fine-tuned than maybe how we're playing right now. But they've got my back, thick and thin, win or lose. They've got the sports objectives, back has got them. We're just, we're up here trying to talk things and get some opinions and state the facts. They're young. They're still a young team. Got a lot of 27 players, 4 different coaches coming in. That takes a little time, and we Pirates fans have to be patient and just grit the teeth a little bit and stay with these guys. But hang in there.
No doubt. Landis, are you I know you're a huge fan, being a local kid as well, like me. Are you going to enter the transfer portal as far as fans go? Or are you going to leave the team? Or?
Depends on who gives me the most money, Dave. To be honest with you. I'm willing. I played in a lot of different states, so I can switch up a little bit. But no, I think it's I think what makes it even harder this year is the past 5 or 6 years have been so good. So that's what makes it even worse. I think we lost. Well, you Savage to the draft. There's a good chance he might be in the bigs in this year and next year. Root, I was just looking at his stuff. I mean, he struck out. I mean, he's in the SEC now. He struck out 75 in 60 innings in the SEC, 6-2 record. So he was definitely something special. I mean, that's a game changer. Those are 2 game changers we've lost. And then, it's everyone knows the Exodus last year got it. And, I think it's kind of a wake-up call this year that we're going to have to, like we've been saying, we're going to have to figure out how to keep these players, how to attract players with however we can, money, whatever it is. So 2-2 this 2-2 since this week. Elon got to win that game, won that game. Lost 5-4. 5-4. But we're losing pretty much the whole game in that one. Kind of came back at the end. Yesterday was a good game. And then today, I mean, it was back and forth. It was a wild game. I mean, the Wichita State coach got thrown out with the interference by the guy on deck. I don't know if y'all saw that, but the guy was on deck ready to hit and interfere with the fly ball. That was interesting. But, I mean, the 2 dropped fly balls in the outfield. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't have bet on that. Burris dropping it and the guy on the right dropping it. I don't know if there was something. It's easier than it's not as easy as it looks, to be honest. I don't know if there was something. I mean, the sun could have been right there on a 2:00 game. I don't know, but that kind of – we got out of the first one when Burris dropped it. Runner on second got out of that and then dropped it in right field to start the next inning. So I've been there before, but obviously can't do that, right? That's a big error. And then the guy did a fake bunt slash to win the game. So, not where we want to be, but, I mean, we're still in the mix for – I mean, actually, if we'd have won that game today is Sunday, we would have been second in the conference, tied for second in the conference because a lot of the teams lost. So we're still third, which gives us a chance still. We've got to make the tournament now. I mean, to have a chance at doing what we expect every year, we have to make the tournament. So I think that's where we're looking now.
Basically, what you have to do is you have there's no midweek game, guys, this week. We have let me just say this. I get we're all busy, but if there's ever been a series, if your back is against the wall, and we are the Pirates, But if you've ever wanted to go to a game, go this weekend. UTSA, rock the jungle, rock the whole entire stadium, because what I don't want to see is so much negativity. We're not going to say that it's sunshine when it's raining, meaning that we are guys that love this school more than a lot of people. But at the same time, you have to be, as the title of our show, objective. And when things aren't going our way, it is what it is. The last time you look at it, Landis, you made a great point. Paul, you made a great point too. It's like we're spoiled because you look at it, we haven't missed the tournament since 2017. I still believe in this team. I think they're going to find a way to be a 3 or 4 seed for sure. But like Landis said, you got games ahead of you. You got to take care of business. And we have good news. We have 2 series left and Campbell. So we've got games that we can win. And it's a matter of this team being, we talked about Coach and Landis individually together, consistency. We've used that word a lot this year, and maybe that's because of the young team we have and the guys that were the leaders between being drafted, going to other schools, transferring, whatever the case may be. But I do believe in this team, and it's a matter of, we can't play for them. That's true. But I'm going to tell you something, and you guys know, being out in the jungle, that's one of the best atmospheres in the whole country. I've been to other stadiums and they have their hands are underneath them, where they're just not into the game and all that. So we're going to get to Chase. Thanks, Chase, for being patient. We'll get you in just a second. Chuck, say hello to Chuck and everybody watching. Listen, put your comments in the comments section if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook live right now. All right, Chuck says next year the NCAA finally will allow 34 full scholarships in baseball instead of the antiquated 11.7 through NIL or Club 23. How many full scholarships do we have available for next year? That's a great question. I know that Cliff Godwin has stated his purpose of NIL is to make sure the guys, like, in other words, they have, a place to live, something to eat, that sort of thing. He doesn't reward guys paying guys, like saying we're going to pay this guy $2 million or whatever. But this is something we desperately needed for college baseball. It's about time. And as far as 34 full scholarships, if I had a guess, and maybe Paul and Landis, y'all are closer baseball guys, I would say it won't be 34. But it'll be a lot more than 11.7. That sounds like a politician. I'm not being a politician, but he's not going to fully scholarship every single player. I could be dead wrong on that, but I want to get y'all's opinion. But I haven't heard that, so thank you, Chuck, for that.
Go ahead, Landis.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be a bad idea for him to give every player a scholarship, because you never know when the kid's going to transfer. He might keep them there. Right. On that side of it. I don't know if that's feasible. I think that's great, though. I mean, I don't think with NIL and everything, a kid coming out of the school with a lot of debt, playing for 4 years, for making a lot of money, bringing a lot of fans in for a school, they shouldn't leave with that much debt. So I think that's great. I didn't know that. So that's awesome. I don't know. I think next year it's going to be. I think he's going to probably mix it up next year. There probably going to be some guys leaving next year as well. So it's going to be interesting what happens. I really think it's going to get mixed up.
And that's the thing is that coaches, you got a guy like Burris, Herring, those 2 guys come to mind. They're hitting very well right now. And I know that, Coach, all of us are not for NIL. However, we're going to have to pay players. We can't dance around the topic or the elephant in the room. We're just going to have to do it. And I know that some of the post people in my group chat, we're going to have to find a way to embrace it, because I tell you what, fellas, like including Chase, I know I met him in December. I'm pretty confident that he's a very competitive person doing what he does. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. But I really feel like, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it just feels like right now, and I'll just go ahead and say it. I feel like right now if we go the same route and we don't pay the players, it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. And I have a huge heart for Cliff and the whole program. I'm not one of these jock guys. I love the Pirates. I give a ton of money to the Pirate Club, more than I should. Season tickets, the whole 9 yards. And I'm not giving up on this team, so don't misunderstand me. I'm just simply saying we got to stop being stubborn and embrace the times of what it is. But hey, Coach, you remember SMU, how they got the death penalty? They were paying players way back in the 80s. Well, the Pony Express. Well, guess what? Let's jump on the Pony Express. If we could pay players, if I can get Coach Paul Hill to take a suitcase out to the Food Line parking lot and pay a player, I'm gonna give him that money, and he's gonna go out there and pay the player. And guess what? We're gonna be rocking the jungle. It's gonna be, when we lose, the pizza I was just eating doesn't taste very good or taste as good as when we win. The music that I love very much, blaring out of speakers, doesn't sound as good. Yeah. The drinks I drink, the Pepsi, hello, Landon Menges and all the guys at Pepsi. I'm drinking a Pepsi for you right now. The Pepsi, as much as I love Pepsi, it doesn't taste quite as good. But when we win, that Pepsi tastes great. The pizza tastes great. Brian Bailey, our friend Brian Bailey usually say is when you lose a football game on a Saturday, it's really hard for somebody to give out a loan on a Monday because they're not in a very good mood at a bank. So
that's right.
But just get y'all's take, and then Chase, we're going to come to you. I promise, as I mentioned, but just get your take on that. What kind of money do we need to raise to attract these players that we can compete for?
Yeah, real quick. We're as bad as this beast is paying players and all that. It's tough, and as you said, and we all know, if we don't keep up with the ball, we're going to be left behind. Period. I mean, it's just the way it's going to be. I think the players should be taken care of until there's a ceiling in all of college sports. And it's open game right now. Whatever, the sky's the limit, and these players know it. And there's no, we've beat around this, on the show quite a bit about contracts and everything. Until that happens, we're just going to have to stay up with, the ball rolling. But we've got to dish out to keep some of them, and we got to dish out to get some of them. So, what do? You got to have the funds to do it too.
Yeah.
So hopefully we have a game plan.
Wesley Alexander says Coach Hill was probably taking payments at North Carolina Wesleyan about the same time the Pony Express was happening. Just kidding, you're the man, Coach.
Hey, Wes Alexander was my catcher on the international baseball team from South Carolina, the Southern Thunder Longhorns. Great guy. We played in Puerto Rico. That's a great young man.
All right, here, A-Win in Florida. Here's another thing, guys. A-Win in Florida, you were one of our new folks for the last year or so. If we had 50-50 in-state versus out-of-state, it would take $1 million to fund 34 scholarships. Guess what? Thank you for that. That's great to know. But guess what? That's very achievable. Well, that's even less than what I expected. I know you say 50-50, so there might be 75-25. Who knows? But a 50-50 split between in-state and out-of-state would take $1 million for 34 scholarships. Listen, I don't know about y'all, but if that's what it takes for us to win, we know enough people. The people on this show know enough people right now that can write that check. It may not be the 4 people on the screen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's
correct
people in Pirate Nation. We're not talking about 50 million, which will be really hard to do in a season by season basis. But $1 million, you've got, if you think about this, guys, I'll say this real quick. Sorry. You've got the practice facility that we just broke ground for a week and a half ago. We've got that funded. The baseball expansion has been funded, fully funded. So now what we need to do is all the people in Pirate Nation and I'll say this too, Coach. I've had some criticism, people saying, all you talk about, Dave, is the same thing over and again about NIL. And I said, why? I don't want to talk about NIL. I would rather be talking strictly about baseball or whatever sport the season we're in. But until we embrace it, it's not. Until we embrace it, it's going to be there. It's the elephant in the room. It's like, that old thing, Coach, when people, whatever, fill in the blank. I'm just saying hypothetically, if I have an addiction to something, maybe it's sports, but until you admit you have a problem, you've got to admit you have a problem.
Right.
And I'm not criticizing. Notice I'm not criticizing. Everybody gets sensitive in the Ward Sports Medicine building. I'm one of your biggest supporters when it comes to the people and when it comes to those athletes, when it comes to that. I'm not talking about dollar-wise, but when it comes to my heart and how much I love East Carolina, understand that. Don't misinterpret passion for anger. I'm not angry. Right. I'm passionate about my school. They didn't have to take me. They took me. I've told that story many times. Okay, here's another one. I'm sorry, we got a few comments. Chase, we can get to you. Not that one. I apologize. You saw about the 34. He said, also, without mentioning any names, do you think Coach Godwin will cut some players, or do you think he'll give them another year to develop? I would say, go ahead, guys.
No. I think it's going to be a mix. I think it's really going to be a mix on who's going to be in. First of all, it's who wants to stay. I think he's got to figure out who wants to stay and go from there. But I think it's going to be. I think we're going to see a big change in the whole approach. And let's be realistic. I wanted to say this: being a student athlete, as we know here, is a full-time job. I mean, these guys are getting up in the morning. They're training. They're going to the class. They're coming back. They're performing for the school. So. I think that should even support the NIL stuff even more, just to say that, because it is a full-time job being a student athlete, as Coach Hill knows and Chase knows. Doing that all the time, you can't have another job and make money. So I think that should also go into the mix of the NIL stuff. But I think it's going to mix up next year in terms of what they're going to do. I think he's going to have to. I think he needs to figure out who's going to leave pretty soon and then go from there.
Chuck says, in order to have a competitive team, you had to have 20 to 25 quality players. With our fundraising, we should be able to fund. I was thinking 22, 23, Chuck, but 25 full scholarships. Definitely. What do you think, guys? With Chuck?
25 is a good number. And believe it or not, just about almost half of the guys are going to be your pitching staff. I mean, you've got to have, you got to have a deep staff, which is very helpful. But going back to what Landis was just saying a while ago, I think it's going to be a mixture. I think there are guys that want to be at ECU, but I also think there's some guys that want to leave for whatever reason, money, playing time, and that goes way back when I played. And, there was no NIL. You were shooting for grants and scholarships.
Did you not get paid enough money at North Carolina Wesleyan?
Hey, I got paid enough with relationships and memories, man. It's worth way more than any dollars, I can promise you. But these guys, without the student athletes, you don't fill the stands. You don't have the games. So it's a tough situation. A lot of people don't agree with NIL. They do agree with it. But in order right now, until there's some, until there's some contracts or ceilings on caps on the monies, it's open game. And unfortunately, we're going to have to be in the ball game in NIL to attract players. What's that?
I'm sorry. I was just adding to what you're saying. If you want to win ball games, you got to be in the game to win ball games. And
you got to. And the NIL is a game right now. I mean, it's hot.
I feel like if they put the money in, they're going to get the money back, probably a return on it, right?
Correct.
So if you're putting the money in there, they find somebody to put the money in, and you go to a super regional or host a super regional, ECU is going to make that money back.
A lot of money. Correct. Bobby has. I'm gonna be fair to Bobby. Bobby, obviously, another person on the show, listener and viewer. I don't think we're losing games to FAU, Wichita State, Charlotte, etc., because we lack talent and don't have better players. Not an NIL issue. Team is badly underachieving and hasn't had its best player most of the season.
Well, I believe that everybody leaving last year kind of made it an issue, to be quite honest. Yeah. But I do think they're underachieving this year, but it's pretty much a brand new team. So.
Yeah, let me say this. I will just say this. I don't know if I've said this season, but I felt as a Pirate, I felt very disrespected by the baseball, college baseball media, that we were not in the top 25. It seems like every year we're always in the top 25. Notice I didn't say top 10 or anything crazy, but I thought we were like 23, 24, 25 in that range. However, that's what I thought at the beginning of the season. Let me be fair to that media. They knew a lot more than we did when it came to, maybe it was my heart and not my head thinking, but they knew more, because I understand what Bobby's saying. I'm not disagreeing with you, Bobby or Chuck, but I will just tell you, there was a lot of pieces that left. Or if we had those pieces, let's just be honest. If we had those pieces, we would be more than 27 and 21. And, like you said, we should be 33 and 15. We've lost a lot of 1- and 2-run ball games.
Absolutely.
But it was competitive. But a lot of those players, the Zach Roots of the world that's striking out everybody in the SEC, think about if he's with us, and you could start Savage and on and on and on. And the guys that were drafted that, they could have stayed another. We know in baseball they're going to leave after their junior year. I'm not criticizing them at all. If you have a chance to be drafted, you're going to be drafted. We love you, and you're always a Pirate. I'm just saying there's a lot more people that left than I anticipated and knew. And then I thought, well, this year they've done a good job with hitting the portal and all that. But for whatever reason, we are who we are. We're 27 and 21. But I do believe, I still find it hard to believe if we embrace NIL, I really believe we'd be better than 27 and 21. I could be wrong. I'm not always right. And I admit that I'm a real man. But I think that I didn't say that we have no talent. That's not what I said. We have a lot of inexperience of good players, and the guys that were older are not there that we normally have to fill in the gaps. And whenever one guy's on a slump, and I'm not going to name any names, but let's just say one guy's on a slump, right? Then those other guys are stepping up because they have experience. You know what I mean? It's like, but right now, when those guys that are on the team that are really good players are having a slump, it really, really shows. So,
yeah. And I'd be curious as to what like Coastal Carolina's doing, because, they don't bring nearly the amount of money in that we do, but they're number 19 in the country right now. So yep. I look at them as like a guide. Like, what are y'all doing? Coach Schnall was there when I was there. He's the head guy now. I would ask him, like, how are you getting these guys to stay here? What's the, how are y'all number 19 in the country? Because I say, in terms of talent, we're usually right there with Coastal. Been better than Coastal the past 4 or 5 years. But they obviously don't have the money coming in like we do. So I would like to know what exactly they're doing and kind of mirror that, because it's obviously working.
It's on the beach, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say.
No, but anyway, we'll get back to baseball, but obviously he's been patiently waiting. Coach, this is your great guest and a guy that I talked to briefly at your 40th anniversary. And so what are we going to do to it was a great thing. I don't know how you're going to be year 41 in December, but we'll have I know you've been telling me some behind the scenes things, which I won't share, but this guy was one of the integral parts of why it was so great in 40 years.
Well, let me say a few things about Chase real quick. A great young man, a Christian man. Met him I don't know how many years ago, working out together, and we just hit it off and have a lot of the same views I know his dad, his brothers, and a great family from West Carteret High School. Played football and baseball. Not sure about basketball, but I know football and baseball. You play basketball too?
Yes, sir. And track as well.
Oh, see, there you go. Went on to for sport. Okay. Elon College football player, and from there he has become a mega Mac Daddy ultra runner, 100-miler. Every chance he gets, and we talk and text, he's throwing pictures up there to me, and huge fan of his. But the thing that inspired me about Chase is who he is, what he's about. He's a upfront, straight to the point guy, very compassionate in anything he does. But I just want to introduce Chase Martin, aka 252.
Welcome in 252. My sister's going to get mad at me because I forgot to text her because she is an ultra runner too. So I'll try to do that while we're doing the interview. But anyway, Chase, welcome into the show. Glad to have you. And just give us everybody a little bit of background of. I want to ask you, ask my sister this, but why in the world would you run 50 miles and there's nothing chasing you? There's no bears. There's no alligators, but there's no snakes. There's nothing chasing you, tigers or any kind of animals like in a safari in Africa chasing you. So why in the world are you running 100 miles?
That's a great question. First of all, thank y'all for having me. It's an honor to be a part of Pirate Nation and the Eastern North Carolina. I appreciate all y'all's comments, just talking sports, and all the memories of baseball and sports in general, just all it taught me about life outside, off the field, off the court. So thank y'all for having me. A little bit about my background too. Played 4 sports in high school and college ball. Was personal training and stuff after that. But I've been as big as I'm 5'10". I've been as big as 285 and benched, the 450-pound marks and all that. But I've also then gotten to long distance running and lost 90 pounds at one point. But the why, you brought it up there, the why do I do this? You really need to check your why, your foundation of why you do what you do. If I was talking to the ECU baseball team, it's, are you really doing everything you can? And what is your why? Is it still baseball? Just getting back to the root of what legacy do you want to leave? And so my why really at the core, at the foundation is my relationship with Jesus. It really is. To represent Luke 9:23, it says, deny yourself, take up your cross and follow Christ. And so one way I've been called, I feel called to do these marathons. The craziest thing is I don't really enjoy long distance running. And I know some people's heads may spin when I say that. It's a calling. I feel called to do it and be obedient to what's been placed on me. So for me, the long distance running is an instrument. It's an instrument to avoid complacency. So back to the ECU baseball players, are you putting in those extra hours of hitting practice and fielding when nobody's watching? Are you in the weight room? Are you running some miles on your own time? So for me, my why I've done 100-mile, why I've done 86 marathons, 26.2 miles or more, and 3 100-milers and some 50-milers in there is because I feel called to do it. It's a way for me to honor God. It's a way for me to, with Chase and Hope as my mission, is to give people hope. If whoever's listening to this, if you have air in your lungs, you have a purpose. And I feel like we live in such a negative, dark world at times that for me, I hope God uses my literal running as reminding people they have a race to run, that they need hope and they have a race to run in their testimony, whoever you are, parents, athletes. And it's really helped me avoid complacency. I feel like complacency is such a disease in this world where we get so comfortable and it's no longer just being content. We become complacent. And so it's really kept me gritty and grind. And that's really my why.
think you're muted, Dave.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Sorry about that. I was saying I remember your why because I was at Paul Hill's 40th anniversary, that celebration, and you inspired a lot of people that night, and so that's why I mentioned that because that was my lead-in to you. I said that jokingly because I have run a 5K and a 10K, so I've done that, but I know that the one good thing I remember about that is I was really struggling on the 10K I did. It was really cool. It was around Busch Gardens, and I just mentally I just kept going. I kept going. Like there's, I don't know how to explain it, but Chase may know, and I don't know, Landis, if y'all and Coach have run, but it's like there's so much doubt. I usually don't have that much doubt, but when I was running, man, there was a lot of doubt. And I had to really push through the doubt, which I'm not. That was one thing that I can say was definitely God. It was divine intervention that got me through. My sister told me it was a 5K, and I trained for a 5K, and it was a 10K. I was told wrong, so I had the 5K down pat, but I had to. It was December at Busch Gardens, and they had Marines like on the bridge, and they had the swords up. She said, "You better not walk across that bridge." And I said, "With those Marines around, I don't even remember my feet hitting the bridge. I was running so fast." At least that part.
Well, I will say this with Chase. The 5Ks I've ran, the 10Ks I've run one half marathon. No, not full marathons. My sister runs them all the time, and I've talked to her and Chase. You just in the short distance, and a lot of people say, "Oh my gosh, I can't even run a mile." But in the 5K and the 10Ks, the way I got through it is exactly what you're talking about, Chase. It's mind over matter. You're physically fit and you're dog tired and you want to stop, but it's mind over matter, and somebody is pushing you. It may be your inner heart and soul. It may be, the good Lord upstairs saying, "Hey, you can do this." It may be your mom and dad along the side, that are cheering for you on the sidelines. Maybe a combination of everything. But it's not easy. And, the accomplishments that you have done and the others that do it on a regular basis, man, I tell you what, my hat tips off to you, because I've done the 5K and 10K. Those are tough, and the mud runs and stuff. But 100-miler, man, yeah, you got to have some greater power than me, myself, and I. And your cause, Chasing Hope is a great example for these young people and adults as well. So we appreciate it. We really do.
Hey, Chase, can you give us like a thumbnail sketch of how long? Don't worry, I'm not going to run a 100-miler anytime soon. How long does, seriously speaking, how long does it take you to train for a 100-miler? If you know, hey, I've got that 100-miler coming up in such and such time, how long does it take you to be truly ready, and don't be like me where I walk a couple miles? No, I really don't, but I haven't done that so far. But how do you do that?
It's a great question. And I would start by saying two things. One is at some point, you just have to be a savage. I mean, you really have to get to a point where it's not based on a feeling. Motivation's great, but it comes and goes. You have to decide, I'm going to do this, and make up your mind. I'm going to do this. As far as training, I don't reinvent the wheel. Like, I still lift weights, but at some point you need to run a 5K and a 10K and a half marathon and a full 26.2 mile marathon before you even say the word 100 in reality, because it's about 4 marathons to do 100 miles. But at the end of it all, your why has to be bigger than just a physical. It's not for aesthetic purposes, or what you look like trying to lose a little bit of weight is not the reason to go try to do a 100-miler. You have to have a why that's spiritual. Your why needs to be solid. And so as far as training, I would truly just literally say, other than running these shorter distances, Have recovery days. Shoes matter a lot. Changing out shoes, road running shoes, depending on the surface. Weightlifting with your legs too. Biking, resistance training, single leg extensions, leg curl squats. But really just all types of different shorter distance runs. And then at some point, you're going to get to mile 40 and be like, I got 60 more miles to go. And you're going to be out there, if you're like me, again, the craziest part about me, if you'd have told me to run 10 miles 10 years ago, I would have laughed at you, because I'm like, how does that make my bench press stronger? So my mindset, what the word strong means, has been redefined many times and more mature now and more well-rounded. So as far as training, I would say at some point, physically, you could be as prepared as you want, but it's going to take something bigger than physical. When you hit these different mile markers, it's 3 a.m. You started at 7 a.m. yesterday. You've been going 20 hours. And it's like, how do you feel? You're in complete pain. I've visioned Jesus on the cross, with nails in his wrists and his feet, that he died for me to even have life. So for me, it makes me emotional, because I'm like, it brings to life the reality of pain and suffering. And it's a way to honor. And it's also just a reminder, like, there's people that hear about my story. The depression in this world is real, the anxiety. People are stuck. And I really hope Chasing Hope in this marathon journey helps people get unstuck out of an internal prison that they're dealing with. These mountains that they're climbing, they need to get out of the way of themselves and get out of these internal prisons.
Hey, by the way, Chase, our dear friend Craig, he always is the comic relief. He said, I think my why would be, why would I run 100 miles?
Yeah, no, I love it. I mean, and I'm all for humor, It doesn't have to be a long distance run. I say this, whether you're a ECU baseball player or you're a computer technology professional or you run literally 100 miles, I just encourage people to test yourself. Get out of your comfort zone. We are so, in my opinion, as a majority, we've gotten soft as a world. People don't grind anymore, get their hands dirty as often as we should, and the instant gratification, the lack of just blood, sweat, and tears mentality, that culture. I really truly think, other than you do have to have talent. To y'all's conversation earlier, like, you have to have talent. But if talent doesn't work hard and there's two talented people standing side by side with pretty similar ability, the one that's grinding is 9 times out of 10 going to win, because they're going to execute on game day, the
Right.
little things. So for me, yes, talent does matter. Anybody that doesn't think that, I think they're wrong. But after that, what are you doing? Are you polishing your talent? Are you just, stepping back and just showing up on game day because you are talented, but you're not really grinding behind the scenes when nobody's watching?
Chase, you make a great point. The greatest generation was given the name the greatest generation for a reason. My grandfather fought in World War II. He was away from my uncle and my grandmother for a year or more. He was over in Japan, and one time his one of his superiors, I don't know exactly who it was, but he kicked him, and my grandfather was wondering why he kicked him. Well, what happened was my grandfather was so tired that he was on the road, and the sergeant or whoever didn't want him to get killed, but it was sleep deprivation. It was all the stuff they did to win the war. And you think about those people, all the sacrifices back home, all the sacrifices, period, that the loss of life, etc. It's really hard to think about a generation who went through the Great Depression and World War II and compare yourself to them, and be intellectually honest that you're as strong as they were.
Absolutely.
That era was hardcore. My grandfather was in the Navy, and the stories that I have heard, they're here in my heart and soul, because those young men and women, I'm talking 16, 17 years old, they had the grit and grind that you're talking about, Chase. Amazing impact to society, and that was the kickstart of getting us out of that depression. Was that war?
And you think about Yeah.
So hat tips off to all our military guys out there.
There
Amen.
Yeah, Charlie.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I was just going to say really fast. Make a quick point. Charlie Daniels he was on my show in 2007. He said, Dave, they're the best we've got, and they need to be the first in line, and not to make it all about the military. But you made a great point, Chase, about with our country being soft, and that's not every single person. But if you look at generation to generation to generation, you know, I talk about this all the time about business or whatever the case may be. But we have a mentality in our country now. When I say this, I don't mean it in a sexual way. The do me society. What I mean by that is instead of you taking care of you and like you're talking about your body, whatever it is, everybody expects other people to help you. We would not be able to get out of where we are. A lot of us, because of our parents, grandparents have helped us. We're not talking about that. But when it comes to, you're exactly right. The working out, I can do a lot better. I got to find time. I got to make time to do that. The losing the weight, I can do that. I'm not just pointing fingers to everybody else. It starts with the man in the mirror, right? Like the Michael Jackson.
That's right.
So sorry, Chase, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just, you know, the blue collar generation is what it makes me think of when y'all bring it up. Like my grandpa, I watched him put on, you know, even though I was young, I got to see that generation put on overalls and jeans every day and go out to work with his hands, you know, and he was in the Army. And so, yeah, shout out to the veterans and the military. But I do believe we can wake up and you can choose to be entitled, to your point, that people owe you, you're owed this job, you're owed the ability that you have. And or you can wake up and say, you know what, I'm not owed anything. I'm not owed a darn thing. Everything is a blessing. And gratitude to me is lacking a lot of times as a majority. We are entitled. We feel like we're owed something. And I think the more we remind ourselves we're not owed anything, it's a blessing, being full of gratitude, and then just check in your work ethic. You know, I like this one quote. It says, don't get stuck in a season you were only meant to pass through. A lot of people are stuck because they stopped working. They're complacent, or they got stuck in an internal prison of depression or anxiety. And to me, the difference is the mindset and effort, just sheer quality effort. And again, I go back to, you know, the baseball analogy. Like, yes, you have to have talent. And yes, you need to do the mandatory practices. And I think Lance said earlier that, Landis said it earlier that, you know, you got all these, it's like a full-time job, but you still can put in time when nobody's watching. That's going to pay off for execution day on the game days of hitting on your own time, throwing on your own, taking ground balls, just back to the basics. So when you're in that game situation, that's that difference, that little difference between two talented teams.
Well, staying in the zone, Chase. Atlantis, I'm sure you did it too. There was many nights, you know, being a pitcher, that I ran an extra 10 poles, or I, you know, went down to the bullpen and threw an extra set, working on this fastball or whatever. And there was a lot of times, not always the games that I lost, but the games I won. Why did I do so well? You know, what can I do better to help myself, to help this team? And I think we're hitting on a lot of great points for any team, whether it's ECU baseball, on personal achievements. I'm excited right now about what we're talking about out there with everybody. Hey, Chase, you got them fired up, man. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
You know, Chase, when I was talking to a guy on Friday afternoon, and his name will go nameless because we're having a private conversation. But what I can share that relates to what we're talking about is he's in a band. And one of the band members, the only time he practices is when they're actually having band practice. How I relate that to this conversation is when you're home and you've got time, you need to be practicing your guitar or whatever instrument it is. I won't say who the person is. You need to be practicing. That goes without saying, on your own. Then when you get with the band, you're playing all the instruments so that it's tight, it's sound. I know I'm stating the obvious. Same thing with any kind of team, baseball, whatever the case. We're talking about extra here on Extra Innings tonight. You've got to get that, like you said, batting practice, whatever the case may be. It could be, and Chase, another thing you brought up tonight that has hit really home to me. It could be simple down to strength and conditioning. It may be that you're a great baseball player, but you don't have the strength that you need to be competing against the guys that we are at Division I level. Or I guess, Coach Hill, it could be any level, right? If you're not in shape, it doesn't matter if you're Division I, II, III, NAI, whatever. You got to be in that.
Yep. Well, the show is TSO Extra Innings, and I'm thinking right now, it's not the game; it's the extra innings that you put into it.
Right. Wow.
Great. I was thinking, I was like, wow. Wes Alexander mentioned something. One of my former players, he said he coaches high school, and his players, he bangs his head all the time about the entitlement, and he's exactly right. That getting back real quick to the NIL, these younger players are seeing that, and it's rubbing off that I don't have to work harder. Exactly what Chase is talking about. I'm just kind of cruising and complacent. Like, Chase, you've hit on a lot of great points, man, and we're kind of feeding in on this, but I have run in through it for 40 years, not all the players, some, and the ones that I go watch and play ball and stuff and sit back. Landis has, I know Dave and Chase, we all have, and I'm like, why did he just do that? And rather than get frustrated, throw the helmet, just put the helmet down, and a little bit more pride in yourself. But it's discipline, it's commitment, it's every. I'm glad you came on board and got the fire going.
Yeah, Craig says there's so many young people that need to find this podcast and give it a good listen. There's no better feeling than building something from nothing and being a lifelong learner, always putting new tools in your toolbox. And Craig is somebody that I admire, respect a lot. Not only was he smart enough to listen to our show, I say that. I'm joking when I say that, but he's someone that I won't say what he did for a living. He's retired now, and I don't want to get him in trouble. I don't think I will now that he's retired. But let's just say that he's a very important person to our country for the service he did. And we are very blessed to have him a part as a Pirate and a part of the fan base, a part of the show. I'm proud to call him my friend, and he always tries to make us laugh, which is even better. But Craig is one of those people. He wouldn't have made it to the job he did if he was just doing like we talked about. Is Wes? I'm going to try to feed off Wes too. He says, great players, a great point. I have players that only get swings when our practices happen and then expect to be good. But the guys I know that grind always show up when the lights come on. I always tell our people where I work in the daytime, if you're not growing, you're dying. And that's part of what we're talking about tonight. It just hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, I'm always trying to take myself on. I know and Chase, I know a little bit about you, but obviously, what I know about you, you're doing that. Landis, Coach Hill's got more jobs than there are days of the week. But they're all trying really, really hard to get better, be better. And guess what? I'm not 18 years, but what's funny is I'm appreciating life and enjoying life more now in my 40s and 50s than I did when I was 18, because I honestly, at 18, I'm just being real with y'all tonight at Raw. I didn't care as much as I care now because I've got a lot to live for. I've got 2 children. I've got a great family, great friends, this great show. I could go on, and it's not about me. But you're absolutely right, Chase, when you're talking about gratitude. That song by Tim McGraw, Always Be Humble and Kind. I love that song.
Oh, yeah.
Because it really, whoever wrote, I'm not sure the songwriters who wrote that song, but I will tell you that it's real, that's a great example of what we need to leave every day. Live our life.
Well, and it's also, and I've told my own sons and now grandchildren, and y'all have had opportunity to meet some of them. It's as Chase has mentioned, it's your legacy, it's your name.
Right.
When that day comes, I unfortunately went to a funeral on Friday, and the kind words that were said about our family member were just off the chain. I mean, it was all, everybody in the attendance was shaking their head. Amen, amen. That's what it's all about. And we're not perfect. We make mistakes too. But Dave, I'm a little bit older than you. I'm a granddad compared to you, and I'm appreciating the little things more than I did in the past. It's just getting older, wiser, I guess. I'm still learning. You stop learning and you go sit on the front porch and not do anything. But I'm still learning. But listen to young people like Chase and Landis gives me inspiration. Landis comes out and works out with us. Probably 3/4 of the time. Catching and the gratification that it keeps him involved one-on-one, with players and his expertise that he learned from coaches, and it's just like a chain reaction. So very great. I'm very grateful as a coach, parent, dad, granddad, and friend and family, for everything. So some good, very good points tonight. Very good points.
Yeah, and we definitely. I've had a really tough weekend as far as not tough meaning bad, but just a lot going on. And it's good to have this on a Sunday night. We've got a lot of people that are texting me and in our obviously in our group chat, or not group chat, the private chat, different things we have on the show about how good the show is. And it's not about me or you, Chase, you came on, but we have a lot of interaction with our people that are listening tonight and viewers. And so means a lot that you definitely came on. And one of the things is with what the organization, is it a way that people can to give to your organization, or is it like a nonprofit? I take it, or how can people get involved?
No, I appreciate that. Chasing Hope is I bought a domain called chasinghope.co. I'm getting it up and running still, so it's still a little bit in the works, but I'm going to have these hats, Chasing Hope.
All
and
right.
more importantly, it's truly to inspire people. I will have a way to donate money. And I have thought of a couple of different ideas along the way to donate that money to. But I just want to say one point to you guys too, to anybody out there listening, I encourage you to ask yourselves, if you break down your 168 hours a week, that's how many hours are in a week, 168 hours, 24 a day. And just saying, what am I currently earning? Not what did I used to earn? What have I done? What am I presently earning? And just get back to that, with effort. But yeah, as far as for Chasing Hope, I'll keep you guys posted. I'll keep Coach Paul posted. And
Okay.
thank you guys for having me tonight. And I'll definitely keep you updated as there's a way to donate. I'd appreciate it.
Are you on social media, by the way, Chase?
I am, yeah. Chase Martin on Facebook, Chasing Hope 37 Instagram, Chasing Hope on TikTok. I put up really just positive stuff. I put up 85 of the 86 marathons. I got to post my 86th one I just did. But really, again, as a flawed man, saved by grace every day, my goal is to inspire people to run their purpose, to run their race in life, whatever your race is, whoever's listening, to run your race and get on your horse because you got a purpose to do.
No doubt. Well, Chase, you definitely made the show our weekend. We're very appreciative and grateful. Speaking of gratitude, we're grateful that you came on tonight, and you're welcome on anytime. Please keep us posted and stay in touch with anything you want to put on our social media. We'll be glad to share it and spread the message because we have in this county, we've had people taking their lives and things like that it's not cool to talk about when you talk about mental illness or things. But somebody said this last night. I'll make a point and then we'll let you go. But they said COVID really brought out a lot of the bad when it comes to mental illness, because people are taking their lives and things like that we would never. I think we're more conscious of it. We're taking things more seriously with all the shootings and different things were happening around the country and the loss of life because of suicide. But This topics we don't want to talk about, but we need to talk about. And so I appreciate your inspiration. I appreciate your patience with us tonight as we talked a little bit about baseball. We'll shift back to that, but I wanted to go ahead and get you on. And again, anytime you want to come on and share the message, anything you got going on, please come on. Feel free to come on and don't be a stranger.
Thank you so much. And anybody's welcome to reach out to me with any one-off questions. Go Pirate Nation. You know, I'm passionate. I hope to see many more successful years in all the sports. So
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for having me.
All right, man.
Chase, love you, brother. You're doing great things. Keep it up, buddy.
Yes, sir, brother. Thank y'all for having me. All right, now.
All right, bye-bye.
Great guy. Now I got extra innings right in my face.
Yeah. What's he going to do about it?
Well, look at there.
Yeah.
Dave, I just want to say, with Chase and you got Landis, these young people, they're a little bit younger than we are. And then you have one of my former ball players, Wes Alexander. I would love to get him up here.
You're welcome anytime.
I will. I'll get him up. He's got a lot of great. I've been very blessed and supportive, as you saw at the event we had in December. Overwhelmed with gratefulness, you know, from the players and the parents and your presence and everybody. It wasn't about me, although it 40 years is a long time. I'm very humbled and grateful. And all the great. What's that?
I was just grateful to get there out alive. As a new friend, you didn't tell me I was going to sit with the mob. So the Mob brothers, man, were there. And I was wondering why. I still don't understand. I was looking around that table of in Harvey Hall, and those two guys all dressed up, really nice looking, dressed up and everything. And I said, is anybody sitting here? They're like, you can sit with us. And I looked around. I'm like, all the other tables are full except for these two guys. But they were great. But I had a blast that night. It was a lot of fun.
Well, let me see.
Up here, talking about this, Chase. Thanks for stopping by, reminding us not to be complacent and keep getting after it is awesome. And Chanel Williams, awesome show. Good to see my big brother.
Chanel worked with Landis and I over at Grifton School.
Oh,
that's a wonderful lady, and her sister. Well, she can sing too. If you remember, she was at the show, Dave, and her sister Trish sang the national anthem.
Yeah, they were up in the right. I think it was the right corner, or they were in the right side of where
they were sitting at the table with us.
Okay, yeah, I remember.
Yep. Trish and Chanel and Mom.
Well, thank you, Chanel, very much for the kind words. And the show, we've been doing it. Speaking of being grateful, Coach and I were talking yesterday, and we'll have to get Landis and everybody a part of the show. But just grateful for over 1,000 episodes, 7 seasons. One of the things, if you're ever starting a podcast or anything you're doing, there's a lot of things in my life that I'm pushing through right now that I started. But guess what? I'm in it to win it, as they say. And my mother's watching American Idol right now, so I love that phrase. In it to win it. And I just want to, while we've gone a little bit long tonight, but at the same time, we could talk more about baseball. By the way, Wes just popped up here. Would love to, Coach. Glad to talk ball and life anytime. Wes, you're always welcome. One thing about this show, the people will learn is we are real. Believe it or not, we are real people. We're not talking heads. There's a lot of people, the John Whites of the world, Johnny Robertson, Johnny JR knows stats better than I'll ever know. And I don't pretend to come up here and teach you guys like all this stuff. I always say that the people, not being condescending or patronizing when I say this, but the people that watch and listen to our show are very smart people, and they know a lot. And so I don't ever pretend like I know more than them, or I'm not.
They know a lot more than we do.
Yeah. So, but we have a lot to contribute. We have a lot that we add to it. And, Landis, I did want to give a shout out to Landis, because I had some of we got to talk about your pecans. I know you're going to say pecans.
Yeah.
But I had my partner as a business partner, Mark, brought me. He knows I love your the pecans, and he said, here's some pecans for you. And it was the lightly toasted. And I'll tell you one thing, folks, I'm telling you, John White, earlier we were talking and we were having a serious discussion. So I didn't say it, but he was talking about, I think he got his folks some, he was giving you a shout out, and that his family love the pecans. So they make a great gift. You don't have to wait. Listen, you do not have to wait to Christmas time. Everybody waits to Christmas time to give a gift. Give a gift right now. Landis Wilson will be glad to give you the website and everything. Go ahead and do that, Landis, so before I forget.
Yeah, John, thanks for ordering. I saw we sent down there to South Carolina. Hope you enjoyed them. I think you got the toasted and the pumpkin spice, but we got a lot of different flavors. We do got the toasted lightly salted. I think that's the ones you had too, Dave. They're just, all of our pecans are Eastern North Carolina fresh pecans. Got a lot of oil in them. We don't use anything out of Georgia.
I got two for you. And I'm going to blame it on Coach Hill because he's a bad influence. No, I'm kidding. How about I saw over the weekend, Friday night in Charlotte, I saw a Jack Daniels. It gave me the inspiration. What about Jack Daniels pecans? Can you put like some sauce on that?
Yeah, a little.
How they have like that barbecue stuff or whatever. Can you put that in?
Yeah.
Or Coach, I live near Beargrass, North Carolina, and they were famous, still are, for moonshine. How about some moonshine on the pecan? I don't know, like
moonshine. That's a good idea too. But all of our flavors go good with all of that. Just to let you know.
Yeah, you don't have to. That's right. You don't even have to have that. Yeah, you can just go ahead and get the flavors. I'll tell you what, the cinnamon. What is the cinnamon? That is.
That's our best seller.
I'm going to tell you right now.
The sky's the limit, Landis.
Coach, my A1C will go to 12 or 13 if I had like an endless supply of those. But yeah, the lightly toasted, I had that today, and we're giving out. We have those at the Snack Shack. We're giving them other places. I say, hey, go for the big stuff like the state farmers market. You'll sell a ton there. We need to get about all the places I know, and Coach Hill knows, we probably need 50 or 60 employees, and maybe that would be too big of an expansion. But man, they are very good. I have to say that they're a great snack, and I enjoyed that this afternoon. I had some popcorn and the pecans. I don't know if you're pecans. I don't know if that's a good combination, but that's what I had this afternoon.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get with Landis. I'm down to my last pack. I put them in. I like putting them in the freezer, and when I'm ready to eat them, I like them cold. For some reason, I like them.
Right,
grandmother.
Cold.
I like eating them cold. Yeah.
Oh wow. So you could have like a ice cream one.
Well, I was getting ready to go at Landis. I Mac Daddy my ice cream. My favorite words is Mac Daddy cheese, Mac Daddy pecans, whatever. And I throw them on that vanilla ice cream, brother. I mean, it sets it off.
We use fresh pecan, and we use Ghirardelli chocolate and vanilla on everything as well. So, in all of our ingredients, we use we don't use any dyes in our new birthday cake. We got sprinkles in. We use the dye free. For anybody concerned about that, because doing everything in the farm, we don't cut cost on ingredients. We do everything high quality. Everything's high quality. We use Ghirardelli, which is oldest American chocolate company, and all that. So order online, y'all. We'll get them shipped out this week.
If you're in the doghouse, if you're a guy right now, you're in the doghouse, or you want to stay out of the doghouse, you can just simply go to BillysNutHouseCandyCompany.com. Order your girlfriend. Maybe you've already given her flowers 50 times after you made mistakes. Give her something different here. And by the way, I'm in a sales mood right now, Landis. You know what next weekend is, don't you, Landis?
Mother's Day.
Yeah. I gotta get some from my mom. My mom will love them. So I'll definitely get her some. And so if she's watching or listening now, like she does a lot, I've given her one of her gifts away. But and they're at our place, they're selling like crazy. We've sold I don't know how many bags. What we already want to get with you later on that, but they're the people. I think it's one of those things where Landis taught us a trick. He said, just we have those samples giving out. And as soon as people have the I think the biggest one has been, I have to look and see again, but I think it's been the cinnamon roll has been the big one so far. But
those things are amazing. They're awesome. They're so good.
Billy's Nuthouse Candy Company.com. You can always reach out to us, and we'll get you in touch with Landis. And Landis, you actually ship worldwide, right? Around the world.
Yeah, we can. We can. Right now, we're just all over the U.S. We can go worldwide. Just if you message me, we can figure that out. It doesn't have the option on the website, but I can do it. So just let me know.
I was just thinking about our great military that's around the world, and maybe if somebody's trying to make a care package. I know people do that. We have friends that are around the world, and we have our friends, Coach. I tell you, speaking of Coach, we have our friends in Puerto Rico that are part of the United States, our territory. I bet they would go nuts over them.
Literally nuts.
That was not a pun intended.
Talking about Puerto Rico, I will say you'll have some special guests coming up. I've mentioned it. It's not a matter of working on it. Their schedule is so crazy. Right. They're in the midst of baseball and softball right now. And hopefully the girls will be back this summer to represent the Latin America's teams. There's Dominican Republic, Mexico. Mexico came last year. Puerto Rico didn't quite make it.
Softball.
But, softball. So they're in the midst. I've talked to them, and they are coming. Some former Major League Baseball players are in the mix, and family members of Roberto Clemente.
Oh, man.
So it's coming.
All right. And by the way, speaking of what's coming up, that's what we call a segue in our business. We have a total of 7 games left. This weekend, we have UTSA. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we have the Tuesday game against Campbell. That's our last game of the year at Clark LeClaire. And then we're going to be on the road in Tampa at South Florida, and then go to we'll stay there. And then that's actually great because you have the South Florida series, right, guys? And then you go right next door to Clearwater.
Yep.
Where you basically on Saturday after the game, you just go over to your hotel. But there's no, we beat this ad nauseum. I just talked about it, but ad nauseum, we want to beat a dead horse. But you got 7 games left. You're Coach Godwin. What do you do? How do you motivate? Both of y'all are great motivators. How do you motivate this team? Because guess what? Right now, we still, I believe, help me out, Johnny Robertson. I believe we can still back our way into second place potentially. A lot of stuff we had it in our hands today, but I think we can still make second place if other things happen and we win out. But we can still salvage the season. In other words, it's not hopeless just yet. I think it's pretty much hopeless as far as winning the conference regular season.
That's out of reach.
Yeah. So you have second place.
But second place is doable, yeah. 7 games to go. Oh, and just a reminder, too, most people know this, this weekend series is senior weekend for all our seniors. So our hats tip off to them. It's not going to be the end of the season. I think they're going to get some fire. I think after Chase tonight, pumping everybody up for this week, I think it's going to spread. I've got a great feeling. I think the Pirates are going to look good this week. I'm feeling good, man. Feeling good about them.
And Landis, another point I want to make to you and Coach before I forget, and I want to get your take and then Coach's is after you give the take about the 7 games, is we don't have a midweek game. That might play into our hands as far as we can get some rest, maybe get some reps, maybe get some more workouts, some more things to heal your body. But I want to get your take first on the 7 games, and then if you'll talk about about the not having a midweek game.
Yeah,
well, not having go ahead.
I'd say the next 7 games, kind of like if we can get through this next 7 games with 7 wins, then they're going to get over a hump, and I think they're going to have some momentum going into the conference tournament because that's what they need. Because if this team right here this year, after all the adversity they've been through, kind of like talking about what Chase has been through, if they can get through it and somehow get into the conference tournament and somehow win it, they're going to be unstoppable. I don't care who you got, because that type of momentum will take you through it. And that's not, it's a long shot, but that's a lot of times the teams that do something like that are the ones that hit the ground running when it really, really matters, which is at the end of the year. You know, all the accolades during the year are great and all, but it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So that's what I would say. And if I was Coach Godwin, I would figure out who my number 1 and number 2 pitchers are, and I would stick. I know my number 1 is Norby. I would have him go the first game. Again, I'm not in the locker room. I don't know why he's going Saturday every time, but I would have him going Friday, and then I would tell the guy, we're going to figure out a way to win. We're going to piece it together. If you give out 2 hits, we're going to switch out. We're going to do everything we can to win. If you're not hitting, we're going to switch out. So you know, I think the pitching identity has been a problem all year, but I think at this point they got to win every game. They got to win every inning. And I really think if they get on a roll, because I've been on a team that it felt like everything's bad, and then all of a sudden you win, and then everything's great. I've been on teams like that. That's the last chance they got to really do something. And that's what I would say to them.
Does it
Dave,
matter?
I agree with you on the rest. No midweek game. I think that's going to be a plus in our favor. I really do.
And it's home.
And I'm with. What's that?
And after the no midweek, and we have a home series.
Yeah.
Correct. I think that's going to play into our favor. That's why I'm feeling good about this week. I definitely want to agree with Landis on what he was saying too. There's no tomorrow. I mean, you got to play every inning at this point. Everybody's got to be on board. I'm not saying they haven't been. They've been doing, you know, the best they can. I mean, and the season is what it is. It's in the past. You know, my saying is today is tomorrow you thought about yesterday. We can't think about yesterday. We got to go forward. We got 7 games. And we're going to write our own destiny right here at this last little leg. Why not go out with all the fire, everything you've got, and then you got a little breather before conference play, and go ahead and win that bad boy, find us a super region, and make some noise.
Because the talent is, we're not saying that there's, and I'll say this again to Coach and Landis, we're not saying on this show, we've never said there's no talent on the team.
No, we never said that.
We talked about the inexperience. They're young. We talked about consistency. So maybe this is the time. 2 years ago, we won 23 straight. So we can win 7 straight.
Oh, absolutely.
And then if we're the 2 seed, let's say we're the 2 seed, we can make a noise in the tournament, win the whole thing. And I will tell you, I'll say this right now. I feel very confident about this team until we can't feel confident about them anymore, meaning the season's over. But I will tell you this right now: if they do win if they win out and win in Clearwater, they're going to be the most dangerous 3 or 4 seed team wherever we're playing.
Absolutely.
I do not want to play the Pirates with the 5. You know, and another thing, guys, I want to mention is it just dawned on me that one of the things that the Pirate faithful at Pirate Nation always, we don't get the respect we deserve. Put that chip back on your shoulder. Maybe, hey, I'll say this. If you want to go to Arkansas or SEC or whatever, if you're about yourself right now, well, do us a favor in the right now. I don't want to lose you, but work on your stats. Because at the end of the day, do you really think they're going to pick you if you're not, if you've given up on this team? Then you're going to do the same thing in Arkansas or whatever team in this country. If you've given up on the Pirates, then you've really given up on yourself because they are not going to pick you. The scouts, as far as Major League Baseball is concerned, when you're looking at other coaches, when they're trying to poach you or whatever, I hate to tell you, but I do agree that it's not just money, but the NIL thing piece is a big deal of it. I've said that a lot, and I'm going to keep saying it because I will say this, if we go to Omaha this year, and I'm not saying we will, but let's say some magical season, we have that, right? Then we could say, well, it wasn't all NIL. It was about the guys finally pulled it together, right? But I'm going to tell you something. You can't, it's like the definition of insanity. You cannot do the same thing expecting different results. So we've got to we had questions earlier from Chuck. We're going to have to make some changes, whatever those changes are. I'm not going to criticize the coaching at all, or the coaches, or the staff, or the program, because we do a lot of great things. Sometimes, as you guys know, when we had that mass exodus and then we're having to go to the portal, sometimes those guys just don't gel. I don't know, but sometimes it just doesn't work out. And when we were talking about 2017, look at our right now. If you look at it right now, guys, we've made a super regional since if you take away 2020, we can't have that season. It was canceled. We've made at least a regional since 2018, 2019, 21, 22, 23, 24. I could count that high. That's 6 out of the last. And you think about it, that we didn't get the 2020, we would have probably made a regional, but we've made regionals every year since 2018. I'll put that up against any sporting program we have at East Carolina. Not anti any other sports. I'm just saying we have a lot to be proud of. It's not the past like Coach Hill talked about, but our fans, we've got to show up in big numbers this weekend. If you've never been to a game, maybe your friend will give you tickets to go to a game. Be as loud as you can. Maybe you have some pirate beverages out there in the jungle. Just don't spill beer on anyone, because that Texas coach now is with Rice, which was not true. But anyway, do you guys, I know we've run really long tonight. Do you guys have, we got a last call for comments and questions, but I want to put up here, JR. Ethan Norby had an ERA of 0.64 and WHIP of 50.57 during the past 2 weekends. He pitched 14 innings, giving up only 7 hits while striking out 16. This is a great time for him to get in sync. And absolutely. He says, Johnny says he's making the 275-mile trip, and that's that's to Greenville and back, right, JR? Because he's in Northern Virginia, in that area. So I believe that's what he means. So, one of the most dedicated Pirates we have, and all the people that we have on our show are very good people. We talked about that again, being blessed, but let's show up in big numbers. I'm just concerned about, I'll be honest, my elephant in the room is attendance this weekend. And I don't want to see any purple seats. I want to see your butts in the seats. I'm going to try to get there as much as I can. I do have a lot going on, but I think on Sunday I'll be able to go to that game. But, that's just one way. Oh, that's right, because where you are in D.C. area. Johnny JR says 275 one way, 550 miles the guy drives. It's like going to one way to New York City. It's like 500 or something. And he should set the tone right there for everybody. Yeah, so there's no reason. I'm 45 minutes away from Greenville, 550 miles round trip. Yes, sir. I did that math. I'm doing good tonight. Don't ask me any more math questions, Johnny. But Landis, what do you have? Words of wisdom. Do you have? And then Coach Hill, and then I'll say something, and we'll get out of here.
Yeah. Last 7 games, most important, playing number 1 team this weekend at home. So I think run through them, and like you said, play if you're going to transfer, at least put up good numbers so you can,
makes sense.
I was saying to my parents, I was like, because I was pretty motivated anyway, like when I was playing, but if I knew that I could play this and get 50 grand, 100 grand maybe from somebody, I would have been really, really motivated. So yeah, I think, I've probably been off the chain motivated, but I say, get in the conference tournament, and then you'll have to win that. And then I would, figure out the best mental strategy, the best way to talk to these guys, and kind of, last hoorah idea. I don't know, try to figure out what's going to make them click. I mean, there's still time. So.
Yeah. You still got to have fun, but you got to be focused. I think let's bring some fun back into the game. Go back to basics. Work a little extra hard this week. Focus on what I can do for the team, what I can do to help produce a strikeout or hit. And my motto is Dave and Landis is swing with heart and play with pride. So go Pirates. And, being part of the 1989 team national champions, and I'm not bringing it up to, toot my own whistle. We had so much adversity, that year. I never doubt anybody out ever. Again, we turned 2 triple plays that game, that College World Series.
Wow.
You don't hear of that in 10 years. So I've seen it, I've felt it, I've lived it. These guys can do it. Chase had a great segment with Chase, Dave and Landis and I up here, pumping everybody up. I'm looking forward to a great week for these guys. 7 games, and let's go back to the basics. 1 inning at a time. Next inning, next game. Next thing you know, we'll be talking about, hey, we ran the table on 7 games.
No doubt. I just want to thank Landis, Coach Hill. Obviously, Chase did a great job tonight, and just really that was very uplifting. I appreciate him very much. I want to say that. Appreciate Coach and Landis off the air and on air, obviously. And I just want to say to Pirate Nation to, again, support your team, number 1. Number 2, I will tell the Pirates, I look at it this way. I don't never say this, so this is unusual for me to say this to a Pirate baseball team. What do you have to lose? You have nothing to lose. Go out there and dive for every ball that you can. You never know when that one pitch that's fouled off and you catch it might be the difference in winning and losing. We're very competitive. Believe it or not, we're a competitive team. So my parents used to say the little things. It's the little things. It's those little things, the bunts, the stolen bases, the catch and fly ball, whatever the case may be, fundamentals of the game. Go out there and we're going to do our best rocking the jungle. I know Landis and Coach will probably be out there in the jungle and maybe hanging from a tree. I don't know. You're swinging around. I don't know what they'll be doing, but whatever.
Look, if it gets us a win, we'll do whatever, I'm sure. Hey, I will want to give a shout out to my sis Trish Williams, who sang the national anthem at the event. I saw she just popped up. Beautiful voice and set the tone for that event that night.
Yeah, thank you, Trish, very much. She said, this has really been awesome. Coach Hill, great encouragement and support. You guys rock. Thank you, Trish. And what a voice, man.
Oh, wow.
Knockout.
Home run, grand slam all the way.
She says, thanks, my brother. We appreciate you, Trish. That was, that's a very, let me just say this. I was planning on getting out of here. But the national anthem, to be our national anthem, is one of the most difficult songs to sing. And I'm very patriotic, but wow, she brought the house down. And if it was one of those American Idol or The Voice kind of thing, she would have won the whole thing on that performance. It was that good. So appreciate it very much.
Beautiful. She set the tone for that evening. You know that.
Ooh, yes, she did.
Wow.
It was after that, it was just like the excitement was in the air. But thank you guys very much. We appreciate you, Coach. Thanks, Landis.
Thank you.
Everybody ordered a whole bunch of pecans this week. We're going to do that. And in the meantime, good luck to the Pirates as they have UTSA, the number 1 team. Again, we have nothing to lose. Hey, let's sweep the real quick predictions. I'm going to say 2-1 on the week. What do you got, Landis? You going 3-0?
I'm going 3-0. I'm going 3-0.
3-0, brother.
All right.
Great. Look at that. I had to bring it up. See it?
Yeah.
There you go. All right. The Pirates are going to – you heard it here first on the Sports Objective. The Pirates sweep UTSA. You heard it right here. The Roadrunners are going down. And we'll get out of here. As always, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your Sunday night. If you're watching it, it's Extra Innings here on the Sports Objective. Good night and go Pirates.
You're watching The Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates.